Okay, welcome to Corporate Educators Online by BFJ Corporate Educators in collaboration with Masterminds Institute and LinkedIn Philippines. This learning session is dedicated to communication, where we'll be talking about personal development and personal growth. I'm your host, AJ Diocareza, and my co-host is Joy Magallanes. And today, we'll embark on a transformative journey of self-discovery and empowerment. In this episode, we'll explore the importance of investing in personal growth and how it can positively impact our lives. We'll delve into the objectives, benefits, takeaways, and essential questions that can give us guidelines on this path to self improvement. So get ready to unlock your potential and embrace the power of intrapersonal development. Let's dive in. Joy?
All right. So our guest speaker is an exceptional learning and organizational development practitioner with a proven track record of success in enhancing hiring, training, engagement, project management, and operational efficiency. And his passion for this field propels him to establish his own corporate business consultancy, solidifying his reputation as a rising star in learning and OD. Without further ado,
Please join us in warmly welcoming Miss Aron Toleco.
Yeah,
Yay!
thank you guys. What a
Welcome, Aron.
really good introduction. I'm so humbled right now. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So how are you, Aron?
I'm a bit nervous, I'm not gonna lie. It is actually my first time in a setup like this, podcast where I'm being questioned about, actually sharing what I know and what I've learned so far. So medyo balance lang.
Mhm. Okay. So let's start with a few questions. Is it okay na?
Yeah, sure. Take it away, guys.
Okay. So regarding intrapersonal development, other people
Mm.
kasi they hear interpersonal eh. But this one
Oh,
is quite different because it's intrapersonal
yes.
development. And it's related to personal growth.
Mm.
So how can I become, or let's say, how can we become more self-aware as we come to a deeper understanding of our thoughts, emotions, and values?
Wow, okay. Thoughts, emotions, and values. Well, there are multiple ways, practical ways, actually, to become more self-aware, like seeking feedback, right? Journaling. What else? Mindfulness. But there's like, but one thing that I can probably share to practice and to have a different level of self-awareness is the willingness to accept failure. We need to have that mindset. The sooner we accept that failure is a part of life, the more we understand how life works. You know what I mean? And also that is one of the best way into self-learning. So the more you take risks, the more that you overcome challenges, the more that you solve problems, the more you become self-aware. So the only way to do that is to expose yourself to these challenges. So probably that's one way on becoming more self-aware. So the first step is to really get out of your comfort zone. Not only um, step out, but like totally explore outside, and then learn to grow your bubble, and eventually you will be, having opportunities left and right where you can practice to become self-aware. So yeah, I think that would be my one thing that I could share.
Okay. So that's one strategy, no? So Joy, would you like to ask a
I
question?
yeah, as you said, the first step is to get out of the comfort zone.
Mm,
So right now, like a lot of like millennials, like
Oh
me,
yeah.
that it's kind of afraid to get out of the comfort zone. So what are, other strategies can I use to cultivate self-compassion and develop a positive self-image? Because as we all know in social media, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
I have a very, just let's say,
Hmm.
self-esteem. So how can I develop a positive self-image for myself?
Well, a very controversial question when you integrate self-image and social media, right? Because the norm right now is what we see in social media. That is the standard already. So it's really hard to practice or to have a positive self-image because most of what we see in social media is a bit pretentious. Sorry for the term. So we really need to figure out, amongst ourselves on how we can really like uh, cultivate that self-compassion. And probably what I can share a few strategies will be effective strategies will be first is to do not be afraid to say no. So we need to learn on how to set boundaries in our relationship within our personal life and also in our career. So always choose yourself first above anything else. So that will be one strategy. The other one or other strategy will be to cultivate self-compassion is to, as much as you can, try to celebrate small wins. Give yourself that break because people tend to forget that small wins builds a habit that will eventually lead them into getting something big. So from time to time, give yourself a treat, treat yourself and celebrate small wins. And lastly, what I can share is that probably, if you encounter failures or if you commit a mistake in whatever project that you're doing, we need to stop practicing self-blame and we need to stop practicing the concept of self-pity, right? If you fail or if you were rejected, we need to stop ourselves from dwelling on the cause of the problem and instead focusing on what we can do to improve. So probably that's the three strategies that I can share. However, like what's worse when it comes to self-compassion is that sometimes people and our society thinks that compassion is a sign of weakness, right? Especially if you're working at a corporate setup. So they see people who are empathetic and kind as someone who is like fragile or vulnerable. That's why it's easier for people to be compassionate to others, but not compassionate to themselves because they try to maintain that strong image. But in reality, it's really harmful to their own personal development. So, yeah, so just to summarize what I've said, so three things: don't be afraid to say no, just celebrate small wins, and stop self-blaming and practicing self-pity. That's what I would like to share. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really love that strategies and advice. I'll try to apply it to myself.
Nice. You should, guys. It's a very practical way on building a strong foundation of self-compassion. Yeah, simple ways.
Okay, thank you. And Aaron, for me, no, I've been training people for more than 20 years now.
Wow.
But
Okay.
I'm not very comfortable actually, honestly, in front of a camera online,
We're the same.
talking online.
Likewise.
But
Yeah.
I can
Okay.
face hundreds of people live.
Mm. Okay.
Very different. The approach is very different.
It
And if you're
is.
not used to it, and sometimes, even though you may have the confidence to do it on a face-to-face level or
Mm-hmm,
as for
mm-hmm.
a face-to-face setup, doubts may arise when it comes to
Oh yeah.
setups like this, like online setups. So how can I overcome self-doubt and build self-confidence in my abilities and skills? say when
Mm.
doing this and other things.
That's a really good example. It's a very relevant to you. I think the first step on acknowledging self-doubt is to acknowledge first your fears and your insecurities. We need to dissect them and try to figure out their origins, like where does this insecurities and fears are coming from, and then we learn how to face them slowly. And from there, by eventually exposing ourselves to the things that makes us afraid or makes us insecure, the more that we get confident, because we slowly realize that we can actually do it. So it's not that you're not good at something, you're just not familiar with that certain area or certain subject that you want to actually learn or achieve. So probably that's the first step. Try to acknowledge and identify the origins of your fears and your insecurities. And then try to embrace failures and make them as stepping stones for growth. And eventually you will be having valuable lessons when you try to you know expose yourself to these kinds of things. So self-doubt is within everyone. Each and every one of us has self-doubt, but self-confidence, that's where the learning comes in. It's really hard to be confident where you're not good at what you want to achieve, right? So like your example, you're not confident going live, but you're confident facing 100 faces in front of you. So it's a matter of perspective. That's probably what I can say. Yeah.
Okay. So I like that, no? It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can surround yourself with those people who truly supports you. You can be with people who actually want to see you succeed, because having a really strong support group can really boost your confidence, right? So just to add.
Joy?
Yes. So now I already learned how I can overcome my self-doubt and self-confidence.
Mm.
So right now, maybe you can share some effective techniques for building personal resilience, and how can I manage stress, or how can we manage stress?
All right, that's a funny way to actually put the word resilience and stress into one question. The reason why I find it funny, it's because you actually need to expose yourself in stress for you to practice being resilient. The only way for you to become resilient is to encounter things that makes you stress. So it goes back to my first concept of coming out to your comfort zone. But there are other things that hinder us from becoming resilient. um, Three things probably that I can share. The three enemies of resilience. First is the comfort zone, right? Like 80% of people doesn't want to change because they want to be, comfortable with they want to be inside their own bubble, right? They are afraid of change. They do not want to change. So that's the first enemy. Second would be learned helplessness. So learned helplessness is the concept of thinking, I can't do it, without considering the factors or without considering your actual skills and competencies, right? So you do not. It's a very subjective approach. Like there's no willingness into it. You just simply say, I cannot do it. So that's learned helplessness. The third one is the path to least resistance. So this is where now most people are doing, because they want to have a shortcut. They want to find the easier path towards success. They want to find loopholes. They want to find um, shortcuts into becoming what they want to achieve. So those three things are, hindering people to becoming resilient. So the best thing that we can do is to, go back to the first one, start from going out to your comfort zone and try to build a strong foundation there. So once you master resilience, stress will be very, very easy to manage. Our stress tolerance will be much higher compared to a normal person. So yeah, it's all correlated.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, with regards to growth, no, how can we embrace a growth mindset and continuously pursue personal growth and learning opportunities?
Growth mindset, how to truly embrace growth mindset.
Yeah.
Growth mindset itself is a very vast topic. It's a different concept that really need to practice. So when it comes to growth mindset and connecting it with opportunities, it is a matter of perspective again on how you approach things, because growth mindset only occurs if you shift your way of thinking into, like, not now instead of not yet. So meaning you are willing to actually learn. It's just a matter on how you prepare yourself when facing the problems, when facing the challenges, the obstacles that you might want to face. Again, going back to what I said, we need to accept failure for us to actually become successful. And that is also aligning with the concept of growth mindset. They are very, very similar. So although that we can have opportunities on a different way, but also growth mindset can really help us elevate the way we bring opportunities into our own lives. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting, no? It's really about perspective talaga din.
Yes.
Mhm. So, Joy, would you like to ask the next question about communication ba?
Yeah. Aaron, we already know, about personal growth. Yeah, you already
Mm.
shared us on strategies and advice. Well, now let's go to communication. So, how do you effectively communicate complex concepts and ideas related to learning and organizational development to various stakeholders of an organization? Also, what are the strategies or techniques do you employ to ensure clear and concise communication?
Communicate complex concepts. Well, there's what we call the Feynman technique, right? It's the ability to simplify complex frameworks, theories, and concepts into a certain sentence where a 5-year-old could understand. Well, when it comes to stakeholders, we really need to first to consider our audience. That's why before any trainer should know this, right? Before we create a content, we should know who our target audience is. We need to make sure that the content is actually relevant towards their role, towards achieving their targets and metrics in their own department, right? So two things that we need to consider is the content and delivery, right? Because no matter how good your content is, how many visuals you have, how many frameworks and theories you present, but if the way you deliver it is not engaging, not compelling, it will not deliver the results that you're actually expecting. So for me, my strategies is to really focus on content and delivery. So we need first to figure out if the topic is relevant, if it's necessary, if it's urgent. And when it comes to delivery, we need to make sure that is it engaging, does the way you deliver it, is it like intriguing, the way that your audience comprehend your topic. So those are my strategies. I focus on content and delivery.
Okay, so we've established the importance of content and delivery, right?
Yes. Yeah, because I think most um not really most, but I have seen some when I was like at the other side of the training session. Um, the content is really, really good, like, no doubt. But at the end of the session, is it really applicable to what I do? Like when I go out of the training session, does the is your topic is something that I can apply for me to become a better, professional. So it really needs to really integrate how you present your content and how you deliver it. So there are many factors that we need to consider. I think you can also relate that to AJ, right?
So it should be relevant, right?
Yeah,
The content should be relevant
always.
to our ano. So given that content, delivery, and its relevance, how can
Mm.
you further what other strategies can you give, no, to further leverage communication to foster naman collaboration and building strong relationships with key stakeholders such as executives, managers,
Mm.
and even the employees.
Right. One thing that I do, this is just me, okay? This is just like my own initiative on actually building a strong connection towards my stakeholders is that I do not build relationships during the training sessions. I also do it outside. I tend to interact with my stakeholders, even if it's not work related, right? So that by the time that you conduct a session, you have established somehow a strong foundation of like similar topics that you can talk about. So that's one way that I build a collaborative and a strong relationship with my key stakeholders. I tend to talk to them outside. And there are also other initiatives and programs, especially at the side of being an OD, where you get to interact with your stakeholders outside. We have, like, when we do the needs analysis or training needs analysis, right? We tend to interact when we do triad coachings, when we do stay in an interview. So it's not really limited during the training session for you to build a strong relationship. You also need to take the extra mile and actually getting to know your stakeholders, not only for what they need, but what are their interests are. So for me, that's one way of doing it.
Okay. So you bring it out pa, no?
Yeah,
You take a step further pa.
yeah, and
Farther pala.
it's
Farther.
really helpful sometimes because when they get into the training session, they feel much more comfortable engaging with you, right? So
Because
it really
the
makes.
setting is informal, no?
Yeah.
More
So you can joke
casual.
around. Yeah, you can use humor to break the ice because you know them already. You can ask non-work related, questions towards them just to make them feel, really comfortable and set the vibe of the training session. And once we start the training session, hindi siya like it's not awkward. It's not awkward and silent. Parang ganyan. So,
So we can say that you added a personal touch.
yes, yes. That's one way to look at it. Personal touch. Yeah. I like that term. Yeah.
Yeah. Joy?
So, yeah, since Aaron, you said that you add personal touch. No, you take extra mile, and I really like it. When you said that, not only you find like what they need, but what are their interests. So
Yes.
when you take extra mile, aside from that, how do you adapt your communication style when working with individuals from different professional backgrounds or level of expertise? Like, can you provide examples that vividly portray communication and understanding effectively carry out across a diverse team?
Professional background, probably I would say different cultural backgrounds. Like in my current company, we are such a diverse organization. Um we have departments that is being composed of different nationalities.
Mhm.
And sometimes when we do trainings, it's a very diverse crowd. We have Indians, we have Russians, we have Ukrainians, we have us, the Filipinos, we have someone from the US. So it's really not more on adapting, I would say. Probably my own style would be to be aware, to know your boundaries as a trainer on what kind of what kind of analogies you would use. We need to make sure that whatever we say in a training session, right? Because there are things that for us Filipinos are not offensive, but it could be offensive to other nationalities, right? So as trainers, we should be aware. So when it comes, but when we adapt, it's a different thing. Hindi siya, it's not very similar to being aware of how you communicate with them. One challenge would be, of course, language barriers, like the accent and everything. But knowing when and how to interact with them, like, and it requires research as well. You need to know what kind of things that they like, what kind of humor do they like, and you can use that to actually build a relationship with your audience that has different backgrounds. But when it comes to professional backgrounds, I've not yet that yet exposed. The reason why probably is when we create a training program, it's targeted. So they belong into one department. So that's how I manage my stakeholders. I rarely manage them in a way that it's composed of different like positions, like from IT, marketing, sales. So normally what I would do is to, it's per department. So yeah, that's probably what I can share.
Well, that's true. Like I just realized, sorry. Like I just realized in to have a communication, you really need to have relationship. You need to build that relationship with each other,
Hmm.
because it is really important. And I really like when you say to set the boundaries, like where
Yeah, yeah.
you need to go to
That
that.
that 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 is really important to share. Uh, One of my earliest tasks during my early years as an LNOD was it was to create or a training session where I will introduce the Filipino customer service style to Egyptians and Costa Ricans.
Oh.
So that was really hard because as we all know, I'm not sure if you're aware, but Egyptians and Costa Ricans is a very strong personality. They are strong negotiators. They're firm, they're straightforward. Unlike us Filipinos, we build rapport. We're very empathetic, right? We are hospitable in a way when we deliver customer service. So what our CEO wants is I need to create a deck where I can introduce to them how we do it as Filipinos. So it was a really hard content to create because I need to be sensitive towards other nationalities. It even came to a point where before I presented the deck to our CEO is that I consulted some of my friends in our Egypt site and Costa Rica side, So do you think this joke is sensitive? Something like that. Do you think this analogy is offensive? So yeah, it was very intimidating in a sense because one wrong word could really, break the tension in the training session. So it's really good to be aware.
Right. Thank you for that. Oh. How about you, Sir Yuri?
Now, based on what Aaron shared, no, I see that he's been leading people for quite some time now. Am
Hmm.
I right, Aaron?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm very curious. No, I just met you early, a few minutes
Minutes
ago,
ago. Yeah.
but now I'm very curious what leadership style. do you embody
Mm.
as a learning and organizational development practitioner? And how do you inspire and motivate others to embrace personal and professional growth? What is the style
Wow.
of Mr. Aaron Toleco?
That's a very interesting question. The reason why, because I have also background. I was once a supervisor in operations before I became a LNOD. What I realized is that it's very different because when being an LNOD is like the peak of leadership, the peak of leading by example. Like, because we are the ambassadors of work ethics, we are the ambassadors of what a leader should be. So it's very different because you need now to practice perception management. Before, when I was just leading a very simple team, it's more on result driven, is result oriented kind of approach. But when I become an LNOD, it gave me a different perspective of the term of being a manager and being a leader. It gave me a clear difference. That was my first realization when I become an LNOD. So my style is very basic and very cliche, lead by example. It's how you influence your people to actually follow you, even if they have the option to not follow you. So for me, that's leadership. If your people has the option to not follow you, and then but they still follow you because probably you have the same vision, right? You have the same belief or whatever, and then they follow you, then that's leadership. But if they follow you out of authority, out of a fear, out of obligation, then that's not leadership. That's just simply being, So when you lead, a bad leader could lead, a good leader could lead. It's just a matter on what is your vision. So my style is very basic. I just um, lead by example, and as much as I can, I want to influence the people around me to become better at what they do, to become better thinkers, to become innovative, to become creative in their own fields. So that's just simply my style.
Okay, so I believe that you've achieved the style or the saying na walk the talk, right?
Going back to that, yeah. And to add probably is I'm not a big fan of motivation, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why it's based on experience, probably most people as well, we do not wake up every day motivated. So what I teach to my people is to have a habit of being a leader, because once you have that habit, it becomes a skill. It becomes ingrained towards yourself. It's going to be a part of yourself, right? So that's my hot opinion only. I'm not a big fan of motivation. I rarely motivate my people. Rather, what I do is I inspire them. That's a much better approach because inspiration comes from a different source. So that's how I talk to my people before.
So inspiration talaga. Inspired.
Yeah.
Ganda,
I
no?
would
Yes.
I would love to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Ooh.
The funny thing as well is that it's really hard to inspire people because you as a person, you also need to become inspired.
Mm-mm.
Because you cannot inspire anyone if you're not inspired yourself. It's like you're listening someone that's giving like a very inspirational speech, but the person talking is uninspired. So it's very counterproductive. So that's probably the challenge, is to keep myself inspired, to keep that fuel going, right? In achieving what I want to achieve. So yeah, yun lang.
Okay. Thank you.
So kapag leaders po pala talaga dapat mga visionaries din talaga sila, no?
Yeah. Of course it should be. I remember this quote. I forgot the name, but it was one of your guest, the guest as well. from the freelance movement, I forgot his name. He made a very strong analogy, like for vision, right? What he said, to quote him, like what he said was, if you see like a jeep, very beautiful jeep, very salient, brand new. But if the jeep has no label of its vision, no one will actually go, in the jeep and ride that jeep, right? Because there's no label of a vision. But if you see a jeep that it's not that good, it's a bit old, right? It's not new. However, there's a label of its vision, of its pathway. People will actually get inside your jeep still because you have the same vision. So for me, that was really, thought provoking. I for John was his name was
I
John.
think I might know him.
Yeah, he's very famous. Yeah,
John
I'm a fan.
Pagulayan. I'm
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah.
freelance
There.
movement tribe
So shout
also.
out to John. That was a really good analogy. I really loved it. Yeah. So that's vision when it comes to leadership. Yeah.
You know. I have another question about leadership.
Yes,
So
folks.
um it's within the organization. So how do you approach leadership development within organizations? Like are there any specific programs or initiatives you have implemented that have nurtured your leadership skills and cultivated a culture of effective leadership? Do you have any
Yeah.
examples?
In my previous company, I have this mentor, PJ, who's he's really good. He's an OD as well. He was my boss at that time. So we have this program that what we call the LEAD program. It's Leadership and Engagement Aptitude Development Program. So our targets were managers, and it was in preparation for our I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say it, but for our drastic change, that's how I position it. We are trying to prepare our managers. So the lead program was consisted of like nine topics, starting from coaching and mentoring, lead and lag measures, emotional intelligence, work ethics. So that was one program that really inspired me as well to practice and explore leadership development. As an LNOD practitioner, and any trainer, I think each and every one of us should somehow master leadership development, right? It's like the most common niche in our field. So yeah, but that was one program that really piqued my interest because it was really intensive. There was a lot of activities. There were a lot of assessments as well. And I think it's safe to say that it really helped our managers, step up when it comes to managing their people, and not only managing them but leading them into becoming a much better leader as well. So yeah, that was one program that really stuck with me.
So you mentioned earlier that the one of the challenging things, no, that a leader encounters is being inspired himself. Am I
Mm,
correct?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So what keeps you inspired? I'm curious.
Well, it varies. Because as time goes by, we as people we change, right? So therefore, my inspiration 5 years ago would be different compared to now. But to answer the question right now, like specifically right now, what keeps me inspired is my soon to be daughter. So I'm going to be a father soon. Yeah, and for about 2 months. My wife is currently pregnant. So right now, what keeps me inspired is, that my daughter, my future daughter, and also this vision of mine to somehow build my own, firm and business as well. Because I was so inspired of what I saw in LinkedIn, and to, the other mentors as well that I look up to. So those are the two things that really kept me going. Like before, it was the goal to have my own firm, and right now I am much more inspired because I'm going to be a father soon. So, yun.
Okay. So, challenge ang pagiging inspired, no?
Yeah,
But
it's yeah, very
but
challenging.
the real question, no? Actually, siningit ko lang yung ano eh. What keeps you inspired? But the
Okay.
question talaga is, can you provide uh examples of challenging
Okay.
situations that you encountered being a
Mm,
leader or as a
wow.
leader and that you have successfully navigated naman and overcome?
There there are
And how
many.
did you demonstrate resilience, adaptability, and other traits while navigating through it
Mm,
all?
wow. Okay. Very hard question to answer because I think most of us has our challenging days, right? But as a leader, probably what I would say is a specific example is to give feedback to someone who is higher than you. That is very challenging. Not because it's very hard to give a feedback, but because the people or the person that receives the feedback, you know, it's not that very receptive. So for me, my challenge always is that um, in our field as LNOD, we are most of the time we are individual contributors. So we do not have people under us that that we work with. Mostly, what we do is we collaborate with other departments and work with them into creating a program or a project. So sometimes when things are not going well, somehow it is my responsibility to deliver bad news or give feedback this time to our upper management. So for me, that was very challenging because they are not receptive. However, I found a way to make it more easier to give feedback to people that is much higher than you in terms of position. What I did is I changed my approach. Instead of giving them facts and data, and graphs and figures or whatnot, what I did is I changed my approach into again another personal touch. So before I give feedback, like it's being pre-planned. That's how I work. So before I actually give the feedback on that day, I first build a relationship again to that person. So I get to do small talk. I get to do like informal conversations with that person, so that eventually, that person will be comfortable with me talking. And then somehow, when I give the feedback itself, it is now much easier for them to be, receptive. So the reason why is that people are, much more receptive to feedback if the feedback is coming from someone they trust. So that's the key is to build trust, and the only way to build trust is to build a relationship. So yeah, that's what I did, and it's really working, at least for me. So yun.
Okay, thank you very much. So I believe that you're a very relatable person, no?
Yeah, I can
And you
say.
value relationships. Like me, I also value relationships. So I believe we'll get along.
Hopefully, hopefully, yeah, yeah.
Now,
I'm
when
looking
it
forward to
comes,
that day.
okay. Now, when it comes to these last few questions, very
Mm.
excited. I discussed this with my co-host, Joy,
Oh,
because we're
yeah.
both freelancers and in
Mm.
business. So, Joy, would you like to start off the question?
All right. So yes, Aaron. So you all said earlier that you are now building your own corporate business consultancy, right?
Yes.
So, what again in the inspiration question? So, what inspired you to pursue the idea of building your own corporate business
Mm,
consultancy? Also, like, how do you envision your consultancy unique value proposition with learning and
mm.
organizational development?
Okay, I think the second question is a bit far-fetched for me to answer, but I appreciate the question. And I like how you input the idea of building my own. It's actually a funny story, not really a funny story, but when I stepped into the field of LNOD, is I was looking for someone who I want to follow, who I want to be, a mentor per se. So that's when I ventured into LinkedIn. So I was like browsing, I was searching, and then I found people who is very good at what they do. Like, do I need to mention like Sir Boris, right? Sir Louis, Jonathan Yabot. Those are just some of the people that I connected to in LinkedIn just to have a sense of idea of how it actually is to build your own firm. So and then I was browsing and then I was looking for tips and for step by step process on how to do it. And there is one step that you need to make is to build your network. I think it's really mandatory for you to build your network when you want to become a freelancer, right? And then so happened that Boris, had this group that anyone who want to join, who wants to, expand their network, who wants to talk to, with their kind of professionals or whatnot. And that's when I, ended up in our group, our corporate educators group. And I'm telling you, it was I'm so grateful. That's just, on top of my mind because it gave me a different perspective of ideas. Like if I was just like seeing the people who is a part of our group, like Doreen Cooper, she's also one of the mentors that I really look up to and I follow as well in LinkedIn. So I'm a silent fan, So that's where the idea came from. So I'm looking at their approach, I'm looking at what they do, and then eventually I'm trying to reverse engineer it and hopefully, I can apply it into my own style. And then it will, actually build my vision this time. And probably I can have my own unique value proposition towards LNOD. So that's where the idea came from the people that I look up to. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I really believe in that, no? When you said po na know who you want to follow. Kasi
Mm.
sabi nila, kung kanino ka dumidikit, dun ka magiging katulad. So, that's why like a lot of leaders po like you, they always advise
Mm.
follow people who do good in what they do.
Yeah,
And
I
it,
agree.
it's really important po talaga na to build a connection, to build the network, your network. I just like recently find out na it's really important to build your network.
It is. Yeah, it is. It's actually really essential because they are, and not only that, you need to belong to the right network and to the right group, So it so happened that the people in our group are very welcoming, very supportive. So again, I'm very humbled and very grateful to them. Yeah.
So that's a tip po. I got you. I mean, nakakuha na ako ng tip na oo nga naman. So you also need to find a network that you need to be belong with. Kung gusto mo talaga, the right
Hmm.
people. So, tama po, tama. And I
Yeah, because it's going to be a waste of effort and time if you're going to be a part of the group does not recognize what you can do. So it's going to be a waste of your effort. So
galing. Thank you, Aaron. And I think Sir AJ have a question, another question for you. And I think
hmm.
this is his forte. He said,
Right?
Well, actually, this question kasi, others kasi would answer this, that's easy. Technology.
Okay.
It's just being, how do you keep yourself updated, the latest trends and developments in the business
Mm,
world, to ensure that your consultancy remains relevant and competitive.
mm.
May Are there any strategies that you employ, or do you have a system that you follow
Well,
like
that's
that?
true. That's true that you need to be, well, technology right now, right? We have Chat GPT, AI, and everywhere. But I think you need to take it an extra mile. You know, it's
Mhm.
good that you are updated with with the latest trends and developments. However, as a practitioner of learning, it is our somehow I just feel that it is our responsibility to innovate those trends, those updated trends, right? The goal is to not keep up, but to create a trend. So that's actually like how I approach things. One of my highly ambitious goals is to create my own learning framework, like let's say Aron scalable matrix, parang ganyan. You know what I mean? So the goal is to be updated, yes, but I just think that we can make it more innovative by creating our own learning trend or our own trends in our own fields. So that's how I keep myself updated. Other than, the podcast, the videos online, the online courses, those are really helpful. However, you need to find a way to make it, to elevate it into in a way that it will become your own. So ganun.
So really a pioneer, pioneering.
Yes, yes, yes. In a way, yes.
Mhm. Now, can you also share some insights into the key factors or considerations when evaluating naman potential business opportunities or freelance projects in your domain naman, in the learning and development domain? How would
Wow.
you assess?
Assess the potential business opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, probably it depends on the approach of, like, because most of us or most business owners has a different way on evaluating business opportunities. For me, what I would do is to start slow but strong. You know what I mean? So the challenge is to actually get businesses to believe in your business before you can actually make a profit or whatnot, right? So what I'm thinking is to start doing pro bono services to my own city in Bacolod, because to be honest, it's really rare to find an OD in our city. That's why I want to bring this learnings that I've learned in our group. The things that I want to share with them. I want to bring that to Bacolod and start, probably a company there, and then help startup companies, help small companies to develop their own structures when it comes to LNOD, HR, operations. So yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay. So thank you very much. So talagang pioneering, Actually, wait.
True.
I have somebody texted. Her name is Joy Magallanes. She
Really?
has a question.
Ah, yes, Joy.
All right. So I think this is the last question.
Mm.
Sorry for the surprise. But Aaron, no, you discuss a lot. Like I have a lot of valuable bombs. But um before we go to the key takeaways, can you like share one insight or insights into the key factors or considerations when evaluating potential business opportunities or like a freelance projects in the learning and organizational development domain? Like how do you ensure alignment with your expertise and long-term goals?
Okay, I think it's now. more on what services you want to, you want to sell, right? So each firm, I think we probably what I need to find first is my own niche. Like, what is my brand? And how do I align that brand into fixing the problems of companies? So that will be one way to ensure alignment, with our expertise. Like, for example, what I'm truly aiming is innovation. Innovation when it comes to leadership, innovation when it comes to culture. So anything that involves innovation. So that's probably what I'm trying to build as a brand, and to also identify problems, common problems or pain points towards businesses, and how can my services help them grow. So that is one insight that I would wanna share, or key factors. Yeah. Did I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pero parang, like, oo nga naman. Parang we also need to know, like, what do you want, parang ano yung gusto natin gawin? Like,
Yeah.
in what way
Because
are we going to help?
to be honest, this for me is really unfamiliar territory. I'm stepping in something that I am not that an expert yet, to be honest. But everyone needs to start from somewhere. And one thing that I've learned, and one thing that is common to all of the, to the people that I look up to, is that they they needed to, take risk. They needed to somehow leave their corporate jobs, right? And then, eventually focusing on the business that they want to build. So for me, it's I just want to find my own brand, and help other companies, actually love our services, and how can they use that to build their own businesses as well. So for me, that would be very meaningful.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Aaron. Maybe Sir AJ, do you wanna add something?
Actually, Aaron already gave so much, so much
True.
insights in just a few minutes, an hour. So, Aaron, would you like to add anything more? Would you like to share anything else?
Um, No, probably I just want to take this time to, say thank you to everyone who listened, who participated. Bless, she's here. Thank you so much for all the hard work that you're doing. I think you're overworking. And also, Boris is here. Thank you, Boris. Nelson is here. Thank you so much for attending. And probably what I just want to say is, this journey of mine is the start, and I wanna say that when the time comes that my firm is now successful, I wanna say that it started on this podcast. So that's how I envision it. So you're the first group of people to know that I have this plan. So I've actually created a page already in LinkedIn. It's called Amplify Academy. So it's there. People can look it up. So I'm just doing first pro bono services to anyone who's willing. So, oh, thank you, Nelson, for the kind words. He said, you will have an awesome brand, Aaron. Nelson, oh, over supportive. Thank you so much. This opportunity is really, really rare. And I know in myself that I'm really, really young as well in terms of the field of LNOD. But I'm confident as well because I'm surrounded with really, really good people. So I'm not afraid to take that risk because I know that the group behind me will support me. So that's just what I wanted to say to everyone. Thank you so much. It's been an hour. It's a really profound event. So thank you guys for this. We appreciate it truly. Joy, AJ, Bless, Boris, thank you.
You're much welcome, Aaron. So any takeaways, Joy, or anyone here? Anybody here? Any
Well, um,
takeaways?
I learned a lot, like sobrang valuable bombs.
I
Parang
hope so.
happy na I'm one of the co-hosts in this session. So first of all, thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing all your learnings,
Of
your
course.
tips, your techniques. So siguro one of important lesson na like nakuha ko talaga, I really like is to seek feedback and not to be afraid of failure. Like
Yeah.
embracing failure help us like understand the world better and take more risk. You know, stepping out of your comfort zone, setting boundaries, and prioritizing ourselves are important. So
Sinamarize mo na, Joya.
so yeah, I think this
Yeah.
session emphasized talaga yung leading by example with clear
Mm.
vision sa gusto mong gawin, developing skills, and like building relationship talaga in the right network.
Right, right. Yeah.
So yun lang for me. How about you, AJ?
Me, for me, I just see Aaron as a breath of fresh air
Ay, thank you.
because I always see his name on my cell phone, Aron Toleco. Who's this guy? And then I get I get uh, a document to review regarding the program for uh, our event this evening. But who's this? Aaron Toleco.
It's actually a bit
And
funny.
at last now I get to
I,
talk with you, and I'm very privileged to
wow,
have
thank you. Thank you so much.
gotten to know you na.
Thank you, thank you.
And
It was quite funny because when I shared this in my Facebook account, like people could not believe that I'm doing this because they have a different perspective of me. So they were like all shocked, like, are you seriously going to talk about growth, you, Aaron? So, but yeah, but hopefully they watch and they've learned something. My key takeaway is that, just a very simple sentence. I just want to share that, growth starts at the end of your comfort zone. So always keep that in mind and everything will just follow. So that's it.
yeah, I like why your approach with regards to uh handling situations
Mm.
because you do it through relationships, through establishing good
Yeah,
relationship.
you caught that, right?
And it's very strategic. It's not
Yeah.
here lang, but it's
Yes,
the heart.
yes. You need to invest emotions for you to get emotions back.
Yes.
That's
So
true.
that's very important
Mm.
because anywhere we go, relationships is really are
Yeah,
really important.
to add as well, when it comes to growth, probably in terms of your career, I've heard this in a TED talk. I forgot the name, but there are two things that we need to consider in our workplace. First is the performance currency, and the other one is the relationship currency. So, performance currency can get you acknowledged, but relationship currency can get you promoted. So do not focus on doing good. That's okay. That's fine. Having a good metric, very good OKRs, that's fine. But what we need to understand is that we need to build that relationship towards our peers, our colleagues, our mentors, because that is where a good character of leadership comes from. How you build connection with people. So just want to share.
Now, if anybody would like to, or if we would like to reach out to you or connect with you, how can we connect with you?
Yeah, in just my LinkedIn, I'm very active now because I want to learn again and again. So just search my name, Aron Toleco, or you can search
Okay,
Amplify Academy.
Amplify
Just look it
Academy.
up and my services. We can start from there. But yeah, I also have my Facebook. It's all there. Just my first and last name. That's how you can get a hold of me. Yeah, that's it, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. So, summary lang, no? Key takeaways, the importance of self-reflection,
Mm,
mindfulness, goal setting, self-compassion, self-care, and also the importance of taking risks and valuing
yeah,
relationships.
nice.
Ayun. So as we conclude this episode of Corporate Education Online, I hope that we've all gained valuable
I
insights
hope so. I hope so.
intrapersonal development and personal growth. Ganun. So let's all remember, no, the journey towards self-improvement is a continuous process.
Yes, yes, I agree.
Ayun, requiring commitment and self-reflection and others pa. So small steps towards personal growth can lead to extraordinary transformations.
Well said. Yeah, I
So,
agree.
thank you everyone for joining us. Until next time,
Thank you.
keep growing.